If you're like me, you hear it nearly every day on social media, from politicians, on your TV screen. Maybe some people in your own family have said it. I know mine have. Heck, I've probably even said it. I'm going to tell you why it's time to stop it. Stop blaming the media. Stop blaming the media. In fact, just stop using the term the media in general. Here's why. First, you need to ask yourself, who is the media? I mean, it's 2020, considering media is made up of not just local TV broadcasts and major cable networks, but also magazines, newspapers, radio stations, websites, blogs, podcasts, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Referring to the media would be like saying, you know what I really hate watching? The sports. Do you watch the sports? I mean, I like watching the sports sometimes, but last night the sports really stunk. How about considering the media is made up of thousands of people from different backgrounds, ethnicities, and ideologies? It would be like not liking something because of the people. I mean, I think that argument's really dumb because of the people. I don't like the people. You see, most of the time, when you use the term the media, you're essentially referring to something you watched, maybe you read, maybe you heard, that you didn't like or simply disagreed with. In reality, the media isn't a monolith. What you really didn't like was a specific program or report because it didn't align with your ideology. Most of the time when people don't like a story, maybe because it's controversial or maybe it has a biased angle, people are referring to actually entertainment media, not journalism presented in media form. You need to know the difference between the editorial section and the news section of the paper. You need to know that op-ed columnists aren't investigative reporters. The media is actually countless people with different roles making millions of individual decisions about how we perceive the world and how to cover it. In TV, the editorial section would be like the several network talk shows you see, which may be disguised sometimes as news, but in reality are all too often politically biased entertainment opinion programs, not news. If you watch some network anchors, there's just too much who, and this is what I think, instead of the facts behind who, what, when, where, and why. There's no objectivity. Network talk show anchors and pundits as guests, that's the editorial page. Lester Holt, David Muir, Robin Roberts, etc. They're news anchors reporting the facts of which their team of journalists and producers have researched, investigated, and compiled. Now, most reporting at your local TV stations, like where I work, and newspapers, that's about as reliable and non-biased as it gets. I know some of you want to believe that all of us media conspire, we huddle together in a giant conference call each morning with reporters across the country or the world to figure out what angle will disperse to the population each day, but that's not how it works. It would literally be impossible for a one-size-fits-all reporting mechanism, considering the vast array of outlets, reporters, options you're given on a daily basis. Now, us local journalists, we're part of the community, just like you. We go to the same parks, we shop at the same stores, we pay the same taxes. I mean, we love our community, and we want to see it thrive. We want to tell your story objectively, whether there are 2, 3, or 7 sides to that story. And if it's political, we're actually held to a standard of not only holding officials accountable regardless of party, but we do our very best to get a response from both parties. Not doing so would actually put our jobs in jeopardy. Let me tell you, this career is tough. It's stressful. It's highly competitive. As of 2017, the average reporter in the United States was making just $36,360. Why would a reporter put themselves through so much stress and long hours to barely make a little more than minimum wage unless they just had a passion for people and their stories, or holding people accountable, seeking justice and truth? I mean, do reporters make mistakes? Of course. We're people. We're not perfect, but if the mistake is our fault, we always make a retraction. Delivering false information wouldn't just be unethical. I guarantee you, from a real news organization, it would mean losing our job. Just be able to tell a difference between a person who is being fair and who isn't. And if you think actual news reporters are biased, the Washington Post recently mentioned a study from 2012 by researcher David W. Alessio, who examined 99 studies of presidential election reporting from 1948 to 2008. All right, bear with me. He found that left-leaning reporting was actually balanced by conservative reporting evenly. It was a tie. blaming the media is scapegoating. It's actually not just old, tired, irresponsible, and ignorant, but also attacking the messenger in this way. It's actually not even original. In fact, it's become a national pastime. It was actually an invention that was used as an all-purpose smear campaign decades ago. According to Columbia, the media, that term, used to be called the press, until the Nixon White House strategically, purposely, started referring to journalists as the media, because calling them the press acknowledged too much of their First Amendment rights. In fact, Columbia points out that William Safire, who was a speechwriter for Nixon, described in his book Before the Fall how the Nixon administration pushed the term the media because the word had a manipulative connotation. And Nixon viewed journalists as his opponents and declared to his staff that the press is the enemy. Considering it was journalists who discovered his corruption that led to his downfall as president, I wonder why he felt that way. Now, the same people who say a few bad apples don't make an entire police force corrupt are the same people who attack the media, claiming all media is biased and out to get them. Real journalists seek out the truth. We hold government accountable, regardless of party or affiliation, and we report just the facts to all sides of the story. Blaming the media is just sloppy thinking. I mean, which media entity did you mean? What are you blaming them for? Why do you think it's their fault? If you read or hear something you may disagree with, ask yourself who said it. Why are they saying it? You may realize your beef is actually very specific, that blaming the media makes about as much sense as blaming the people or the sports. So here's what I want you to do. When you see an article, read it and think before sharing. Is it from a reliable source? Does it appear objective instead of being divisive? Get your news from several reliable sources. Lean on your local journalists. And if you watch the networks, watch more than one and differentiate between editorial news and actual news. And please stop referring to any of us as the media. Let's lift each other up. Let's be atypical.